Now follow me as we ride, going up, getting high. Biggest flips in the sky, biggest flips in the sky, biggest flips in the sky.
Cool. Welcome to another episode of MiVision. I'm your host, Mansa Musa.
Co-host Rakasi.
And today we've got a special guest.
My name is GB. Thank you for having me. Peace.
Come on. Pleasure as always.
Thank you for having me.
But yeah, so what would you say, GB, is your low light for 2020?
My personally, or just overall in the year?
Yes, overall, like in the year.
When I look back, I would say the lowest points, I guess, were probably the early part of the year. Losing Kobe Bryant, then Pop Smoke. I feel, not that I know them personally or, they have, but it was just for me, to see like inspirational, like Black men that have shifted the culture, changed the culture. To see them go out like that, it was quite sad. It was, things like that. I look at it, it can get quite demoralizing. When you feel like it's consistently happening to, successful Black men in your community. So, and then I'd say I feel like the lowest it got was probably the killing of George Floyd and like the video of Ahmaud Arbery. That was just when I just personally, it was very bad, very bad time. But I guess the positive that sparked from it were, the protests, the unison that, Black people across the world kind of showed, the togetherness. That was good. I feel like that was also inspiring to look at. But at the same time, you still think in the back of your head, when is this going to end? Like, it feels like you're living a nightmare. I say those were the lowest points for 2020.
Okay. I think what I think is quite interesting is I kind of saw that moment with shall I say the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement or the unison coming together. I more saw that or see that as a positive. So that personally was going to be my highlight for the year.
Okay.
So I kind of always tell myself and I tell others around me, like, on the other side of pain and darkness is light, innit? So although it was like a dark time and challenging time, what came after that and what is like in store now, I feel is a positive, looking back at the year in a whole.
Okay.
Yeah, personally.
Right.
But I do think it's going to be quite interesting to see where things go in this decade moving forward now. Now we're in 2021. Again, I don't think anyone could have really expected 2020 to be like that and those sort of things to happen. The passings of all the people that passed, RIP. But yeah, let's see what this year brings, I guess. Although I think the fact that hopefully, or even just from the year, that there were, you know, people coming together, Black people coming together, it did, it did make me like uplifted and inspired me to like even write some poems. And you got to share some stories and some journeys, meet some new people as well, which was proper exciting. I guess again, it's a gift and a curse that it was like it had to be like over Zoom or not face to face, which would have been nice. Probably I'd have preferred that, but then again, you know, you never know.
And to add to that, I think like 2020 was, like you said, it was one of those ones where there was a lot of negative, but from the negative, some good things spawned. So it's in a way, you can say that George Floyd was a sacrifice for a better cause. You know, like the same way that people would say like Jesus sacrificed his life for your sins. Not saying that George Floyd put himself in that situation for this to happen, but it was the outcome. And I think, you know, even factor in this COVID shit helped, you know, people being at home, not having anything to do, being able to see these protests happening or being able to see what's happening. I think most of the time people are too busy with what they've got going on to even stop and think like that's somebody's life. It's very easy to be like, you know what, post a RIP or not even, or just, you know, I got to go about my day, I got to go and do this. But when you really got to sit with it, you keep seeing these things happening, you know, I mean, for us, we're Black men, so we're automatically affected. We see it happen, you feel it a different way. But then you can think about starting with, let's just say, I wouldn't put Black women in the same scenario because Black women have Black boy children, you know, so they feel the same way that we do, you know. But then there's white men, white women, Asian men, Asian women, people from all different walks of life who are now seeing us differently than there are many times that this has happened before. Because we're not going to sit here and pretend that this is the first time it's happened. But the difference here was that they were able to kind of really sit with it and have an understanding of it and be like, you know what, I got to get up and go to work, or I got to go and do this. And I think
the whole world had to watch.
Say that one more time?
I said the whole world had to watch. There was no way you could go.
Exactly. And that spawned a lot of protests, a lot of action. There is some negatives from all of that. Like personally, the way that the direction the Black Lives Matter movement has gone in has, like, for me, it's BS. The statement Black Lives Matter is totally fine. But then it's now been registered as a company. There's people saying some super outlandish left field shit that are associated with it, which now makes the movement get looked at differently, which for me is a problem, because it's like, if we want to move forward, we need to have people at the forefront that are going to allow this movement to be looked at as a positive movement rather than a threat. But then when you've got people up there pretty much saying the things that we want to be gone, and we don't want to be said about us, it's just about, do we want equality or do we want to have a battle? Because we can have the battle, that's not an issue, but we just need to be clear of what we're doing, because I think the thing is that equalizing has always been the thing here, right? And the moment we get sidetracked from equalizing, then what are we aiming for? So when we've got someone standing on a stage that's supposed to be representative of the so-called Black Lives Matter movement, which has been the movement way before this year. So for them to come in and take that name and then start doing things with that, it's a bit wrong. But the moment you come in and start saying things like, white people are subhuman or blah, 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 bro, we've been called subhuman, we've been called less than human, you know, that's happened. So if we're going to start playing that game, then where do we go? So I feel like it's one of those ones where the awareness side has been amazing. The political side has been terrible. And I think that we need to either a new phrase or move away from BLM, because I think BLM on the whole is now, it's too deep. It's deeper than what it was originally. Now it's a scheme of making money, a political party, it's all sorts of shit. You know, you got people coming in like the Antifa motherfuckers and we're BLM and doing all this other stuff, and it's just like too much happening around that particular movement. Whereas it's just kind of like when Germany's mark was shit back in whatever, when I learned in history, can't remember the year, you have to start again with a new currency. I feel like we need to start again with a new movement and kind of secure that movement so it's done in a way where the intentions that it started with are the goals that are trying to be achieved. Because that for me has been an issue. But outside of that, I totally love that everyone was, active. Obviously, of course, with most things, like in this day and age, it's 2 weeks and it's over. But 2 weeks is better than nothing. It raised a lot of awareness. I feel like a lot of the stuff that's happening now, such as like BBC being involved, footballers doing it, it causes more problems than it fixes anything, People fucking, they kneel on the football pitch and get booed. What does that say? There's a bunch of racists out there. You're not really fixing anything. I think action needs to be taken at this point. And you see, when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, I totally understood that. You don't agree with everything being said in the national anthem because that's not what your America is.
Yeah.
Correct. You get that.
Yeah.
Why are football players kneeling over here? We don't play a national anthem before the game. So it's just like, what are you taking a knee for? And if you were to ask them, they probably wouldn't have an answer. So I want an actual direction to move in when it comes to stuff like this. I think that's my only issue with it.
I definitely agree, and I'm not like keen on the term BLM, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not keen on it. Maybe black voices. This is what I've heard on Instagram. Like, Black voices matter. If anything, I think that's where we should start, or that's a good start. But yeah, I definitely think getting rid of that BLM, or just getting rid of it. Like, I just don't think it needs to be there for what it stands for now, for what it's become.
Yeah.
And everyone's screaming like, "Oh, all lives matter," and all of the come on, like that's not what the intention. That's not what I thought it was. Anyways, like that's not what we're trying to do here. So I definitely agree in that regard.
And follow me as we ride, going up, getting high. Biggest flips in the sky, biggest flips in the sky, biggest flips in the